Our work at KeHE matters, not only to impact the lives of our retail partners and suppliers, but to make a difference in our families, our communities, and even the world. Hello, my name is Adrienne Binder, and I'm your host for Fruit of Your Labor, a KeHE podcast. We aspire to update you on what's happening at KeHE and inspire you with the amazing stories of how you are working to make lives better. Enjoy the episode. Recently, we did an episode on impact investing with PureFlow, one of our KeHE Cares partners. This month, we're highlighting another one of our KeHE Cares partners involved with impact investing. And I have the privilege of speaking with David Sims, the managing partner and founder of Talanton. Talanton is an organization that invests in growing businesses in developing countries to create jobs for people living in poverty. David, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. Delighted to be here.
Let's talk about your organization. On your website, you mentioned that Talanton is the Greek word for talent, which is an ancient measurement for weight. Can you explain the origins of your organization and what made you choose this name?
I'd be delighted to. We're a faith-based organization, and Talanton, as you've mentioned, is Greek for talents. I'll refer people to the parable of the talents. People may be familiar with that, but it's a story that Jesus tells where a 5-talent servant invested his talents to double them, to multiply them, and heard, "Well done, good and faithful servant," by investing so wisely. Talanton wanted to follow that model to hear, "Well done, good and faithful servant." But we also keep reading in Matthew 25, "Whatever you've done for the least of these, you've done for me." So Talanton was created to allow people to invest wisely to hopefully hear, "Well done, good and faithful servant," by serving the least of these.
Wow, I don't think you could have picked a better name for the organization. That's so perfect.
It was a godsend when we were trying to come up with something that could be unique and people wouldn't confuse with another impact-oriented firm.
So what's the overall mission of Talanton and what are the core values of the organization?
Our real mission is to honor God by lifting people from poverty through impact investing. That's what our board crafted as the mission statements. And we try to live that every day through a series of 4 values that we use the acronym HOPE, HOPE. H is honor God. O is operate with excellence. P is to partner well with organizations like KeHE, and E is to exemplify faithful stewardship, living out our name as a good steward of others' resources to generate kingdom impact.
So you wrote and published an article titled "How to Eliminate Poverty in 1,000 Words." What inspired you to write this article? And can you tell us a little bit about the main takeaways that you wanted people to get from it?
This is a 30-plus year journey that I've been on about how to eliminate poverty. And I came to really understand that eliminating poverty is all about creating jobs. If people have a good job with a regular income, that's what it takes for them to then be able to get their kids in school, feed their families, house themselves, and deal with any medical emergencies. You could give to those things, but you can't end poverty out of pure donations. There are billions of people living on less than $3 a day. We need to find ways to get them jobs. And who are the job creators across the US and Africa and the rest of the developing world? They're small, medium enterprises. So if you can get capital in the hands of an entrepreneur to help them grow and scale and create jobs, that's what we seek to do. And I had to do a little research, but I think KeHE was founded in 1952. KeHE was a small, medium enterprise for its early days. And today you now have thousands of employees because somebody had the ingenuity to found the company and to walk along faithfully to deliver the great value that KeHE delivers to your customers. We seek to do that in Africa, helping other early stage KeHE, if you will, get the capital they need to grow, scale, create jobs, and let people move out of poverty.
What you just described is a great example of the difference between what KE Cares does with serving and giving versus impact investing, and how with impact investing, you can create this continuing change in a location with the jobs being built and then additional jobs coming in and continuing with building revenue. Whereas with giving, we give for something specific, but it doesn't have that continuation effect.
There's a huge need for giving, and there's wonderful places to deploy capital, as I'm sure KE does through your giving, your KE Cares. When we're trying to tackle poverty in a continent like Africa, there are 450 million people alive today that are 18 years old and younger. They all need jobs. We need to find ways that are sustainable, scalable, and replace their capital to give them the jobs that allow them to be moved up out of poverty. That's where the impact investing through the foundation or elsewhere allows us to make a difference. A similar cause, but done through a different type of capital, impact investment capital.
So can you talk a little bit about how Talanton is helping create jobs in these low-income areas?
We try and find companies that are led by values-aligned leaders, where instead of us looking for unicorns on the financial front, we're looking for companies that can create lots and lots of jobs. So we'll go find the companies with an aggressive search process to build a pipeline of potential companies. We'll put them through a due diligence process, very aggressive private equity-based skill teams that we have on our team to figure out who's the best at being able to grow and create impact by creating jobs and financial returns, because it's the financial returns that allows them to create more jobs and to grow and scale. And then probably one of the most important things we do is walk alongside the leaders. We serve on the board, we pray for them, we have prayer circles, and we bring them what's called technical assistance. What do they need in order to grow rapidly and to overcome the obstacles of running a business, let alone running a business in East Africa? So we do all of those things at Talanton through our team and volunteers. If you're trying to invest wisely, being a good steward, as the Bible commands, you definitely want to get the money back to redeploy it into the next companies. We don't think that's going to be likely if we can't help these men and women running the companies get the resources they need, get the advice beyond just the checks. And that happens across all of the companies in our portfolio as they run into bumps or as they have fabulous opportunities and want to know, boy, how best do we tackle these opportunities and in what order? We'll spend a lot of time thinking strategically with them about what do you pursue now? What do you not pursue? What do you pursue later?
To help us understand a little better how this works, can you share a particular story of impact and how Talanton has come alongside a company to help them be successful?
Sure. Let me just go to one of the earliest companies that we invested in. It's a company called Kintegra that serves smallholder farmers in Kenya who grow flowers. It's a chrysanthemum type flower called a pyrethrum flower. The company Kintegra turns those flowers into organic pesticide. So all the organic food that's being served on tables or maybe distributed through KeHE, likely the crops had an organic pesticide used instead of a chemical one. Kintegra makes that kind of pesticide. When we first invested in them, they had fewer than 1,000 farmers and revenues of about 600,000 for the prior year. We have just seen them explode. They're now up to 20,000 plus farmers that have been trained, and their revenues now last year were about 7.5 million. Now, what makes this so exciting for us isn't those numbers I just shared. A farmer that's fully trained and able to grow flowers can make $60 to $80 per month per acre. That's a minimum wage job in Kenya by growing flowers, which the farmers harvest every 2 weeks. And every 2 weeks, they're getting an income stream by taking these flowers to a local collection point to be processed and collected and taken by Kintegra to turn into that organic pesticide. So huge change. And we've met farmers when we've been there ourselves who have moved from mud huts with thatched roofs and nothing more than that to cement block houses with tin roofs connected to an electric grid. The power of the economic engine at work in the lives of some of the least of these in Kenya.
That's a great example.
We're really, really proud of what that team at Contegra has done. And looking forward, they believe they can target 90,000 families to reach to be supplying them with flowers within the next several years. Each family has an average of 5 people. So our model of deploying capital is able to reach perhaps 500,000 people through one of the companies that we have the joy of investing in and walking alongside of.
So for our KeHE employees, can you explain how KeHE Cares partners with Talanton and, what has been the impact of this partnership?
Sure, be delighted to, with a huge thank you to KeHE for what's been accomplished through your partnership with us. We actually started in the earliest days with an impact investment from the foundation. So you actually started to deploy capital. And then Rusty and Eric and some of the others at that time said, well, we'd like to do more things. How can we get involved to bring KeHE expertise to the table? And we sat down and said, look, what our leaders could really use is leadership development. And you guys have a phenomenal rare leadership, which you use for your management and your team members to actually learn the things that you think make for good managers. And KeHE customized the rare program with some help from our team, one of the Kenyans in our team, to make that applicable to the CEOs and senior leaders in our portfolio. So after the first investment the foundation made, we said, let's go do this leadership development training. And the CEOs of the clients in Africa were trained remotely via a webinar through the Rare Leadership Program over several months. It took each week or every other week. There was a training program in order to teach them those. And we still hear from people that went through that program how they're relying on their card decks and deploying the skills that they learned from that. And in another 2 months from now, Frank Carlson's going to be joining us in Africa to tour 4 of our clients, including the Contegra client that I just mentioned to you, and some others that are agriculture related. And we're going to be exploring what else might we do to build and deepen the partnership between KeHE Cares and what Talanton is doing in East Africa.
For our employees, this is really interesting because, with PureFlow, it was purely impact investing, where with Talanton, it's not just impact investing, but it's actually another pillar of our KeHE Cares Foundation, which is our Leadership Academy. That's really interesting that we're taking that approach, finding organizations and working with organizations where we can leverage both sides of those pillars, not just with the impact investing, but also that leadership training to help organizations.
And we think back to our name, talents actually include time, talents, and treasure. And KeHE brings more than just treasure. You have a tremendous number of talented people with a caring heart that if we can take time and talents and also combine them to impact some of these companies, some of which are in the food industry. So we haven't yet linked any of the clients in the food industry into KeHE, but I'm hoping that before too much longer, we'll give you another opportunity to use more of your time and talents in your regular day jobs in order to help create jobs and lift people out of poverty just by doing what you do each and every day. But in this time, helping a company grow that's in Africa.
I don't think I could have summed that up more perfectly. What you just said about what our employees are doing every single day in their jobs is what's contributing to help your organization and other organizations with impact investing around the world.
Amen. And I hope people will understand and appreciate that today there are 34,000 people that have jobs, good jobs, or sourcing farm goods to the companies we've invested in. So already KeHE is impacting 34,000 jobs in Africa. And again, that's 200,000 lives that are better today because KeHE cares.
Well, David, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast today and sharing with us about your organization, how it works, what you're doing, and how KeHE's coming alongside of you and supporting the work that you're doing.
Thank you again for this opportunity. Keep up the great work.
If you are interested in learning more about Talanton, you can visit their website at www.talanton, that's TALANTON, LLC.com.